measured at genetic level or in the subspecies level. So finally, the genetic variability is responsible for causing this variation and also which results in speciation. Okay. And then second one, species diversity. This is the measurement of the richness of species. So richness of species means the number of species per present per unit area. So if the species richness is greater, then species diversity will also be more. Okay. Then the third one is ecological diversity. Under this ecological diversity, we discussed like the diversity of organisms at community level. And it is of three types: alpha diversity, beta diversity, and gamma diversity. Alpha diversity is diversity of organism within the same community or habitat. And beta diversity is the diversity between two different communities or two different habitats. And there the habitat may vary according to the environmental factor. Okay. And the last one is the gamma diversity. And gamma diversity is the global diversity, which is the most stable and productive diversity. And this is the diversity of organisms over the entire geographical area, which covers several ecosystem or habitat. Okay, fine. Now the next topic what we discussed is the number of species on Earth. So I told you IUCN is the organization, the International Union of Conserving the Nature and Natural Resource. Okay, they have so far they have identified some plant and animal species, that is about 1.5 to 1.7 million. And in this 1.5 million species, 20,000 species are found to be orchids, and 20,000 species of ants, 28,000 species of fishes are there, and 3 lakh species of beetles are found to be present on the earth. Two important projects were going on. One is Species 2000, another one is Global Biodiversity Information. So these two projects were aiming at discovering the species all over the world, and the discovery and description of species are mostly over in the temperate countries than in the tropical countries. And according to estimate of Robert May, the global species diversity is about 7 million. Out of this 7 million, 1.5 million has been identified, that is about 22%, and remaining 78% are yet to be discovered, right? The second one, more than 70% of all the species recorded are animals, and plants are said to be less than 22%. And among animals, 70% are said to be insects. Fungi species are more when compared to the all vertebrate species. And in case of vertebrates, the fishes species are more than that of birds, and then comes the reptiles, and then comes amphibians and mammals. In plant species, the species of fungi is more compared to the species of angiosperm. Then comes the species of algae, that is thallophytes, right? Now, the next one what we are going to discuss is the number of species in India. Fine. So, before we discuss the number of species on Earth, now we are going to see the number of species in India. Because we know, like, we should know about the biodiversity in India because it is our motherland. Okay, fine. Now, what happened in all over the world, they chose some 12 countries as mega biodiversity countries. 12 countries have been chosen as mega biodiversity countries. So 12 mega biodiversity countries are there in the world. Okay, this was initially, according to your NCERT number, it is 12, but now it has been more than 30. 30 mega biodiversity countries have been identified, but whatever it is, the number which has been given in your NCERT, you have to follow that number. Okay, so 12 mega biodiversity countries have been chosen in the world, and out of these 12 mega biodiversity countries, India is one among that. So India is said to be one of the 12 mega biodiversity countries. India is one of the 12 mega biodiversity countries in the world. Fine. Now, please listen. When you compare the geographical area of India, that is India in the world, it is about said to be 2.4%. Okay. India covers only 2.4% in the land area. But when talking about this global species diversity, in this global species diversity, India is said to be 8.1 percentage. That is, among the total species, global species diversity, India is having 8.1 percentage of species in their mother, that is in that particular land area of 2.4 percentage. So when you analyze the land area of India in the entire world, it is just 2.4. But the species diversity, no, it is about 8.1 percentage in all over the world. And so far, this number of species that has been identified in India in plant species and animal species. This number is a very, very important number. The number of plant species that has been identified so far in India is 45,000 species. And number of animal species that has been identified so far is 90,000. Always when you compare the plant species and animal species will be larger. That's what I told you yesterday. In Robert May estimates also, 70% of the species so far recorded are animals, okay, and less than 22% are plants. So based on that, in India also, the number of plant species so far identified. These are identified plant and animal species. So far identified plant species in India is 45,000, and so far identified animal species recorded so far is said to be 90,000. Got it, right? But Robert May, no, he has estimated roughly that in India, the estimate may extend up to, according to May's estimates, Robert May's estimates, the number of plant species and animal species yet to be discovered from India is 1 lakh plant species are yet to be discovered. 1 lakh plant species are yet to be discovered in India, and 3 lakhs animal species are yet to be discovered. 1 lakh plant species and 3 lakhs animal species are yet to be discovered from India. So these are said to be, these number of species are yet to be discovered from India. Before I gave you one number, right? 45,000 species of plants and 90,000 species of animals. So these species are already that has been identified in India. And according to Robert May's estimation, the number of species yet to be discovered from India in plant is 1 lakh, and in animal it is 3 lakh species. Okay. So many number of species, a large number of species, no, that has got extincted before they are discovered. Not only in India, in many different parts of the world, many species, no, some species before they were discovered, they have got they are facing the extinction. Okay, so those extinction species will not come into count in your future estimation, right? That's all the number of species in India. We just copy these two slides so that we can move on to the next topic, patterns of biodiversity. Please note down the numbers, ma. These numbers are very, very important. In biodiversity, you will study lot of numbers. Okay, so all those numbers are very important. And one thing, don't say these numbers are the one which are published in your NCERT. But actually, the numbers are all updated now. But when in your final NEET exam, the key will be given what is there in your NCERT and not the updated one. For example, if you take this 12, mega biodiversity, the total number of mega biodiversity countries in the world at present is more than 30, okay, but in your NCERT book it is given as 12, so you have to go for the option 12. Similarly, this land area, now it has been reduced because of deforestation. Everywhere the land area has been reduced, right? And global species diversity also would have been reduced, but this is the number which has been given in your book. And similarly, the plant species and animal species identified also vary. And here, according to Robert May estimates, this number will not vary, but this also some species may face the extinction before it has been discovered, right? And so it may vary in the future, right? So have you all copied? No, it is not based on the largest country. Country in size is different, and mega biodiversity country means mega biodiversity country is based on the the number of species present in a particular country. Okay, so if India is having maximum number of plant and animal species, then it can be considered as mega biodiversity country. Similarly, based on the maximum number of plant species and animal species, this IUCN organization have chosen some 12 mega biodiversity countries in the world. Got it? Fine. Now we can move on to the next topic, that is patterns of biodiversity. Patterns of biodiversity. Any idea you are getting what do you mean by patterns of biodiversity? How biodiversity will vary based on the geographical area, that is based on the latitude and altitude, how this biodiversity pattern will vary. Okay, so please do remember, the biodiversity will not be constant everywhere. It will vary from place to place, and biodiversity varies with the change of, we are going to discuss two different ways. Okay, with the change of altitude and latitude. You know what is altitude? Altitude is height, and latitude, you know, right? Latitude, longitude, all those equator, all those things you have studied in geography. Okay, with the changes in altitude and latitude, how biodiversity will vary. That is what we are going to study in the patterns of biodiversity. So you please get to know one point. The species diversity, no, species biodiversity. Species diversity is biodiversity. Okay, so the species diversity is always maximum in plains. Plains is low altitude or high altitude? It is plains always comes under low altitude. Okay, it comes under low altitude, and it is always maximum in equator. Equator is said to be low latitude. Plains is low altitude, that is plains are in the they are just above the sea level. Okay, but when you go to mountains or hills and all, they will be, the height will be more than more than 3000 meters than the sea level, right? So it is always the species diversity or biodiversity will be maximum in plains and maximum in equator region. Plains are said to be low altitude region and equator are said to be low latitude region, because I told you we are going to compare the biodiversity with altitude and latitude, right? Fine. Now, as we move from lower to higher latitudes, that is, as we move from lower to higher altitudes. So what is lower altitude? Lower altitude is plains, okay, or lower latitudes, whatever it is. Lower altitude, if you say lower altitude, I just told you lower altitude is plains. As we are moving from lower altitude to higher altitude. Higher altitude means when you go to height, that is like mountains or hills, such area. Okay, mountains or hills comes under higher altitude. Similarly, when you move from lower latitude to higher latitude, lower latitude, what I said now, equator region. Okay, and when you are moving to higher latitudes, so what will come under higher latitudes? Higher latitudes will be polar regions. Okay, to the polar region. In both these cases, the biodiversity will increase or decrease. Can you give your answer? When we move from lower altitude to higher altitude, or when we move from lower latitude to higher latitude, the biodiversity will increases or decreases? Decreases. Very good. Because I told here it will be maximum in low altitude and maximum in low latitude. When you are moving from low altitude to higher altitude or lower latitude to higher latitudes, then in both these cases, the biodiversity will, or the species diversity will decrease. It will not increase. When we move from plains to hills, the biodiversity decrease. When you move from equator to poles, also the biodiversity decreases. Okay. So how the biological diversity decrease? Because the diversity depends upon why the this biodiversity decreases when we move from plains to hills. or from equator to poles. In both these cases, why the biodiversity decreases? Because biodiversity depends upon many factors. Mainly, it depends upon seasonal variability. Mainly, it depends upon seasonal variability and also the physical environmental factors. The physical environmental factors like physical environmental factors. What are the physical environmental factors? You can say temperature, humidity, precipitation, all these things. Okay, so all these things will decide the weather, and the weather will determines the climate of a place, and climate will determine the season. Okay, so when there is seasonal variability and physical environmental factors varies, then automatically the biodiversity will increase or decrease. So biodiversity the diversity depends on, so you here in question mark you put diversity. Diversity depends upon seasonal variability and physical environmental factors like temperature, humidity, precipitation, etc. Now I am going to give you some examples how this biodiversity will vary. Okay, the diversity of animals and plants will not be uniform throughout the world, and it will shows the uneven pattern. Okay, so we are going to study two specific patterns of biodiversity now. Under this patterns of biodiversity, we are going to study two specific patterns of biodiversity. So I will tell you what are the two specific patterns of biodiversity, and then I will explain you one by one. The first pattern what you are going to study is latitudinal pattern, and the second pattern is species area relationship. So these two are this concept is a very important question. You can expect 3 marks or 5 marks from this concept mark. What are the two specific patterns of biodiversity we are going to discuss? One is latitudinal pattern, another one is species area relationship. Okay, so based on these two things, I will, that is, I told you, based on altitude and latitude, the biodiversity will vary. For that, I will draw one graph. It will be easy for you for better understanding. Okay, so one side you write based on altitude. Altitude, I told you, as you move to higher altitudes, mountains will be there. Okay, and in lower altitude, what? Plains. Similarly, one side based on latitude, equator, and higher latitude will be poles. Okay, like this you can write lower altitude plain, higher altitude mountain, lower latitude equator, higher latitude poles. So now you can see, you can have some measurement also, 20, 40, 60, 80, like this. And here altitude you can write in different unit, 50, 100, 150, 200, 250. Okay, now this mentions altitude, this mentions latitude. So x-axis and y-axis, I'm having different things. Okay, so as you move from plains to poles, the biodiversity will decrease. As you move from equator to poles, the biodiversity decreases. As you move from plains to mountains also, the biodiversity decreases. You can see the graph, right? You can infer from the graph. See, here it is more equator. As you go towards the poles, the biodiversity is decreasing. Similarly, here in plains, the biodiversity is higher. As you move to higher altitude like mountains, the biodiversity will decrease. So this graph will depict how biodiversity will decrease as you move from lower altitude to higher altitude, at the same time lower latitude to higher latitude. Okay, so you just draw this graph. This is different, the two patterns. This graph is mentioning how the altitudinal and latitudinal pattern of biodiversity will vary. Okay, and two specific patterns of biodiversity we are going to discuss. One is latitudinal pattern, another one is species area relationship. That slope represents the biodiversity, ma. It represents the biodiversity, how biodiversity is increasing towards that is decreasing towards poles and decreasing towards the mountain. I'll show you all the slides from the beginning. You just copy, then I will start the latitudinal pattern and species area relationship. Those two concepts are very, very important concepts, because sure you will get NEET question also from that particular concept, and also you can expect board questions from us. Number of species in India. We'll just copy this. Yeah, finish writing this one. Second slide. Biodiversity below the sea level. See, below the sea level, usually planktons organisms will be there. Okay, that is aquatic organisms will be there. When you go for aquatic organisms, both aquatic plants and animals will be present. Okay, but biodiversity below the sea level, in the sense when you are talking about the marine organisms, it will come under the ecosystem. It will not be like that a marine biodiversity. No, it will be constant. You cannot say whether it is higher or lower. You cannot have that difference in the sea level, no. As that is in the top layers, you will have, as you go deep into the sea level, the biodiversity will decrease. That's it. Third one. Fourth slide. Fifth one. Yeah, finish copying all the slides. Do you want me to show any of the slides again, students, or shall I proceed? If you want any of the slides to be shown again, I will show, or else I will proceed with the next topic. First and fourth slide. So this is first one, first slide. Okay, third slide also, right? First slide, have you all copied? Second one, I think only these two information data are there in the second one. Third one, this is third slide. Somebody asked me to show the third slide. Excuse me. This is fourth one. Students, have you prepared for the NEET exam? Organism and population, have you all studied? How many of you still like you have to start only tomorrow? Fifth one. One student asked me to explain the graph. Uma, this is a very simple graph. See, one side I have one axis, I have taken the latitude. Other axis, I have taken the altitudinal pattern. Okay. So in the latitudinal pattern, I start with equator, and as I move towards the poles, And in altitudinal pattern, I start with plains and I move towards the mountain. So as I move to higher altitude, the higher altitude will have mountain and the lower altitude will have plains. Similarly, the lower latitude will have equator and higher latitude will have poles. Okay. What I told you in the third slide, you just see, not in this slide. Lower altitude plains and higher altitude is mountains or hills. Okay. And lower latitude is equator and higher latitude is polar region. That is what I have mentioned. Now, always in lower latitude and lower altitude, biodiversity will be high. You can see, now you just consider the altitudinal pattern. Altitudinal pattern plain. Here it is plain. Plain, that is 50. Okay. In 50-meter height, the biodiversity is high. When I am moving to 100-meter height, the biodiversity is less. Can you see the difference in the length of the line? It is less, right? When I move to further height, 150, it is further decreasing. When I go to 200 meters height, then it is further decreasing. When I go to 250, if I move to some 500 or 1000, as I move on like this to higher altitude, the biodiversity will be decreasing. Similarly, when I move from equator to poles, that is lower latitude to higher altitude, that is also the same condition. 20, this line, it will be long. When I draw this, when I go to like higher latitude, 40, then it is further reduced. Biodiversity is further decreasing. When I go to 60, it is again very small. When I go to 80, the biodiversity further decrease. As I move to polar region, the biodiversity is very less. Okay. So this is what it is representing. Very simple graph. I don't know why you can't understand this. It is not a very big graph, right? You didn't like, haven't you drawn any graph like this in your mathematical calculations and all? You will not infer in physics, chemistry, everywhere graph will there. And this biology graph will be very easy. It will be very simple. Two axes you are going to take and you are just going to plot the graph based on two parameters. That's it. Here you are drawing the graph based on the parameter of latitudinal pattern and altitudinal pattern, comparing with the biodiversity species. That's it. Fine. Now, let us start with the first pattern of biodiversity. The first pattern is latitudinal pattern of biodiversity. So already, you know, you have a knowledge like latitudinal pattern, how the biodiversity will vary in the latitudinal pattern. That is, in lower latitude like equator, biodiversity will be high. As we move from equator to the polar region, the biodiversity will decrease. You know, the region which is very, okay, I'll just draw you this globe. Have you seen, have all of you seen globe, right? Yes. So this is your globe in the sense, in the center, a line will pass. This is your equator line. And there, on the top and bottom of this equator line, two lines will be there. What are they? One is Tropic of Cancer, another one is Tropic of Capricorn. Okay. So you will have Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. Fine. Now this is equator. I told you in equator biodiversity will be high. And very close to the equator, these two tropic lines, no, they are called as tropical region. Am I right? Tropical regions. And next to tropical region, you will have subtropical region. Similarly, down also. And next to subtropical, you will have temperate region. And if you go to the end, that is called your polar region. Similarly, here also you will have subtropical and then temperate. And as you come to this end, it is the polar. And this is north polar end and this is south polar end. Arctic region, Antarctic region. I think I have to teach geography for you again. Have you all, like, I think, hope you would have studied all these things in your smaller classes, right? Where the equator region, that is tropical region, tropical to polar region, how the regions will vary. Okay. So this is said to be lower latitude. And as we move from tropical to subtropical to temperate to polar region, this polar region is said to be the higher latitude. Right? Similarly, this lower altitude is plain and higher altitude is mountain, and that also from lower to higher altitude, the biodiversity. As you move from this equator region to this polar region, the biodiversity will decrease. As you move from equator to south polar region also, the biodiversity decreases. This is what we are going to discuss in the latitudinal pattern. Okay. So now, do you want this diagram? Shall I remove this and explain, or you can draw this? If you want to understand how this tropical region, arrangement of tropical, subtropical, temperate and polar, you can draw this. Okay, you draw this. Still, if you have doubt in tropical, subtropical, temperate and polar, no problem. Take your 6th standard science book and you can see the globe, and you can, all these things would have been mentioned there. You read it again. Okay, no problem. Don't think like we have come to 12th standard, why we should take and read 6th standard. It is like a shame. Okay, if we have doubt, even we can refer LKG notebook. Okay, it is not at all a mistake. Sometimes we may get doubt even in the basic thing, very, very basic thing. Fine. So there is nothing to feel shy or shame to know the basic things. Okay. So even whatever doubts you have in basics, please don't feel hesitate to ask me. You can ask. Yeah, you have in your science book and also in your social book. In your science book, in your 6th standard, there is one chapter called as Weather, Climate and Adaptation. Do you remember or not? I do remember. In that lesson, in your science lesson, you have all these things. What is meant by tropical region? How do organisms in tropical region adapt themselves? What is desert region? How do organisms in a desert region will adapt? You will study hibernation, estivation, everything in your 6th standard science book. I think you would have forgotten everything. No problem. We can recall. Have you drawn this? Okay, shall we continue? Fine. Now I'll continue with the latitudinal pattern. That is the exact concept. Okay. So the species diversity, I told you the species diversity will be maximum at the equator, because we are talking about the latitude, right? The species diversity will be maximum at equator because it is the lower latitude. Fine. And this species diversity, it will decreases as we move towards the polar region. As we move towards the polar region is said to be higher latitude, right? So as we move towards the polar region, the species diversity will start decreasing. This is a very important, okay? The species diversity will decrease as we move towards the polar region, which we call higher latitude. And I will tell you, in the previous diagram I told, right? In the graph I told you this is equator line, and above and below this equator, the region which are very close to the equator are called as tropical region. Okay, and this tropical region, no, they will have the maximum diversity. So the maximum diversity, species diversity, can be seen in the tropical region. Why in the tropical region? Because tropical region are located very close to the equator region. Okay, so the region which is located very close to equator is the tropical region. So always the tropical diversity will be higher, and this tropical region, it ranges from 23.5 degree north to 23.5 degree south, because the equator, the region above the equator and below the equator, I told you this is said to be the North Pole and this is said to be the South Pole. You know, right? North, south, east, west. Okay, and this north region, no, it is this ranges between 23.5 degree north and this ranges between 23.5 degrees south. In between these two regions are the maximum biodiversity. So the biodiversity will be maximum in the tropical region, which ranges from 23.5 degree north to 23.5 degrees south. Okay, for this I will give you one example. For example, you can say the region which is located in the tropical region which is having the maximum biodiversity. No, example I will tell you. Have you heard about Colombia? Colombia is located very near to the equator. It is located very near to the equator. It is located in the tropical region. Okay, and this Colombia is having 1,400 species of birds. Okay, and But if you compare this equator region to one more, I will tell you one region in temperate and one region in polar. You take New York. Okay, New York, which is a temperate region, which is located in the temperate. So this temperate New York, no, you know what is this angle? It is in the 41° north. This 41° north New York, no, which is located in the temperate region. It is having the same species of birds, number of species of birds in New York, no, it is just 105. Only 105 species of birds will be present in New York. And as you move to polar region, now I am saying I'll give one more example for polar. For polar region, shall I say Greenland? Greenland, which is located very close to the polar region, and this Greenland is located 71° north. No, and this is having just 56 species of birds. For example, I am telling you how biodiversity will decrease as you move from equator to the polar. If equator region, I have given one country called as Colombia, which is having 1400 species of birds. Next to equator, equator is tropical region. Okay, so near to equator means this Colombia is located in the tropical region. In tropical region, the number of species of birds is 1400. Next to tropical, leave the subtropical. Subtropical is just between tropical and temperate. Okay, so next to tropical is temperate region. There 105 species of birds. For example, New York, which is located in 41° north. Here Colombia will be in the 23.5° north. And New York is in the 41° north, temperate, because from here equator, when you move to temperate, it is higher latitude. There 105 species of birds only present. And if you move further, higher altitude, higher latitude, that is to 71° north to the polar region called as Greenland, there only 56 species of birds are present. Okay, now from equator to polar, you can see the biodiversity is decreasing. This is one example. Okay, another example I will tell you, a forest which is present in the tropical region. A forest of tropical region, which is like, can I say Ecuador? Have you heard about Ecuador? Ecuador is a country, okay, which is located near to the equator. That's why the name of this country is called as Ecuador. Okay, just some spelling difference will be there. That is equator, this is Ecuador. Okay, this Ecuador, no, it is having 10 times more species. 10 times more species are present in this Ecuador, or more species of what? Vascular plants. You know what is vascular plants, right? Vascular plants are called as, who are vascular plants, ma? The plants which possess vascular tissue. The first vascular plants are bryophytes, then pteridophytes, then gymnosperm and angiosperm. Talophytes are non-vascular. They don't have any xylem and phloem tissue. Okay. So plant kingdom, just recall your plant kingdom for this vascular plants. 10 times more species of vascular plants are present as compared to the forest of, this is tropical region. Then I should compare them with the forest of temperate region. Temperate region, for example, Midwest USA. Midwest USA is an example for temperate region here. When you compare the forest of temperate region and polar tropical region, the tropical region, for example, Ecuador is having 10 times more species of vascular plants compared to the forest of temperate region, which is located in the Midwest USA. This is another example. The first example I gave you, comparing the species of birds from equator to temperate to polar. And second example, what I am giving you is the forest of tropical region comparing with the forest of temperate region. Okay. Now, one more example I am going to give. This is a very, very, very important example. So from this example, always you will get one question. That is one of the important tropical forest, or you know this forest very well in South America. Can you name the forest? Important tropical forest of South America. Please name the forest. Recently there forest fire occurred and it destroyed a lot of biodiversity species. Yes, very good. It is Amazonian forest. It is called as Amazonian rainforest. So this Amazonian rainforest is having a name. Can you tell me what is the name? Some nickname. What is that? It is called as dash of the planet. I gave you a clue. It is called as dash of the planet. It is called as lungs of the planet. Very good. Maximum amount of oxygen is released from this forest. Okay. That's why it is called as lungs. You can write in bracket. It is called as the lungs of the planet Earth. Lungs of the planet. Okay. As it is releasing more amount of oxygen. So this Amazonian rainforest is having the greatest biodiversity on Earth. It is that's why I told you this is a very important example. The greatest biodiversity on Earth is present in the Amazonian forest, which is a tropical forest of South America. And I will tell you the number of species present in the Amazonian rainforest. It is having 3,000 species of fishes. Okay, 3,000 species of fishes, 1,300 species of birds, about 400 species of amphibians. Okay, I'll continue here. Yeah, not only 400 species of amphibians, reptiles, and also mammals. All these are something this 400 around. Okay, 400 each, 400 each. Don't think totally 400. 400 species of amphibians, 400 species of reptiles, and 400 species of mammals. Okay, right. And then very important, 1,25,000 species of invertebrates. Okay, and then yes, 2 million species of insects. 2 million species of insects, 40,000 species of plants, 40,000 species of plants. Okay, all these are present in the Amazon forest. Okay, yeah, it will. Yes, that's why IUCN organization is there, ma. Their only role is to count the number of species present in each and every part of the world. Okay, fine. So please note down all these things. All these are present in your Amazon forest alone. Okay, in Amazon forest alone, this much number of each species are present. You just note down these this slide. Do you want me to show the previous slides? Do you want me to show the previous slides? Yes, wait, I will show you. Yes, I will start from here. Latitudinal pattern. I will start from latitudinal pattern. I will show you all the slides. So this is 6th one. I think you would have copied this one. 7th one. This is 7th one. Please copy the 7th one. Fine, finished copying the 7th slide. So now I am showing the 8th slide. This is 8th slide. Do you feel like you are studying geography instead of biology? Do you have such a feel? Studying like geography? Is it boring? Yes, no. Okay, fine, fine. So this is 8th slide, ma. Okay, so this is 9th one. Fine. So from by discussing these things in the latitudinal pattern, don't you get a question? Why in tropical region biodiversity is maximum, but not in temperate and polar region? Don't you get this question? Or you know the reason for this question? Is, tell me the doubt. What doubt? because of sunlight, humidity, okay, direct sunlight, very good. Due to temperature, suitable condition, suitable environmental factor, fine. Yeah, whatever you told, they all come in one point, okay. Sunlight, humidity, suitable environmental condition, all these comes under one point. But two more reasons are there why the tropical region is having the greatest biodiversity. This is a very important 2-mark question in your board, okay. So I will tell you, there are three important reasons. These three reasons are said to be three reasons, or you can say, actually, these are said to be three hypotheses. Three reasons or hypotheses for the greatest biodiversity in tropics. Why the biodiversity is always higher in tropical region when compared to temperate or polar region. Okay. So I'll tell you what are the three important reasons why biodiversity is greatest in the tropics. Fine. So the first reason, as you all said, the environmental condition. Okay. That is the very important reason. That is the tropic environment. They have tropical regions. Tropics, no, they have more solar energy. More solar energy. Why solar energy is the prime reason? Because in any habitat, if producers are numerous, obviously the biodiversity will be higher in that particular region. Why? Because all other consumers, the basic thing, the food chain always starts with producer, right? The food chain or food web always start with producer. So for the producers to synthesize their own food using photosynthesis, the main source of energy is solar energy. Tropics have always more solar energy, which results in contributing to this high solar energy. No, it contributes to higher productivity. Productivity. Who will be the who is in charge for productivity or produce production? Plants, obviously plants. Okay, I told you always a food chain or food web will start with producer. If there are more number of producers, obviously that particular habitat will have more number of other organisms also. Hence greater diversity. So this is the prime reason for greatest biodiversity in tropical region. Okay, more solar energy. So put this as a box. More solar energy contributes higher productivity, which will causes greater diversity. Fine. Now the second reason, no, tropic environments are more constant. What do you mean by more constant? Environment is more constant in the sense, what does it mean? There will be less seasonal variation. Okay, seasonal variation will be very, very less. Okay, fine. So that is said to be more constant. More constant, also said to be less seasonal. The seasonal variation will not occur frequently. That means, see, suppose if there is a summer season, that summer season will prolong for at least 3 to 4 months in all the tropical region. But in temperate and polar region, it will not be like that. Okay, there will be more frequent seasonal variation. So if there is more frequent seasonal variation, organisms cannot adapt themselves according to that. Okay, so organisms also have to follow the adaptation according to the seasonal variation. Suppose if an organism is adapting a particular body adaptation, morphology or physiology adaptation, if the season is continuing for the next 3 to 4 months, organism need not to change the adaptation every day, right? So in tropical environment, this is favorable. There will be less seasonal variation, and so the environmental condition will be more constant. The seasons will not vary very frequently. And the third reason for greatest diversity in greatest biodiversity in tropical region is tropics have remained relatively undisturbed for many millions of years. Relatively undisturbed. Undisturbed means, what do you mean by this? The natural calamities will occur very, very rare in case of this tropical region. Tropicals have remained relatively undisturbed for millions of years. But in temperate and polar region, it will not be like that. Okay, the environmental factors keep on disturbing the temperate and polar region. And there have been there have been no frequent glaciations. Okay, glaciations in temperature. There will be no frequent changes in the temperature, and hence no long evolution time for species diversification. There will be long evolution time for species diversification. That is, for the speciation to occur, the species will take long evolution time. Okay, once when the evolution is taking place slow and steady, the species can sustain, or it can resist the particular environmental condition, so that the species diversity will also be higher. Okay, species diversification. Species diversification. Okay, so these are the three important reasons why the species diversity is always greater in tropical region when compared to temperate and polar region. If they are asking this question in your board exam for 3 marks, you have to write all these 3 points. Okay, in the first point, sure, they will expect the keyword solar energy. In the second point, they will expect the less seasonal variation or more constant word. And in the third one, the environment is said to be relatively undisturbed for millions of years, so that long evolution time will be there for the species diversification. These are the important keywords they will expect in your board exam for your answers to get full marks, full 3 marks. Okay, right? You just copy these 3 reasons, ma. That's all. Latitudinal pattern is over with this. So the next one is species area relationship. That is very, very simple. It is meant it can be explained by a graph and by an equation. I think yeah, we have 10 minutes more. We can complete species area relationship. That is very simple. So 10th slide, you just copy. Then I will show you the 11th one. Yeah, one student have asked, like, after the forest fire in Amazon, does the species all exist now? See, some species, the species which are able to escape from the natural disaster, they will survive. Okay, some species will be like yeah, some fast running animals and all. You would have seen so many memes and all. The kangaroo, which are said to be fast running, it has carried some other species of animal. Like, it showed how this unity in diversity. So many memes came, right? Memes and other pics, videos and all came during that Amazon fire. So the organisms, that's what, ma, whenever natural disaster or natural calamities happen, all the organisms cannot escape from that natural calamity. Okay, the organisms which are able to withstand, or which are able to that immediately migrate, that is called as the survival of the fittest. Okay, but many plant species and animal species got extinct, that is got died, species diversity got reduced because of this forest fire that took place in Amazon. So that's what you are going to study in extinction. Extinction occurs by all these means. Okay, so extinction not only occurs because of threatening or because of loss of that is what is that, because of only anthropogenic activity, that is because only of, not only because of human activities, extinction of species will occur. Sometimes due to natural calamities, this natural extinction also occurs. I will tell you what are the reasons behind the extinction of the organisms under the topic. Yes, have you copied the 3 reasons for the greatest biodiversity in tropics? Yes, latitudinal pattern is over with this. Now we can switch on to the second pattern of biodiversity. The second pattern is called as SA relationship. So what is SA relationship? Species area relationship. Okay, so this species area relationship, no, it was first determined by a person, and he was a geographer. He was a geographer and he was also a naturalist. Naturalist means the person who study about the nature or who study about the natural resource is called as naturalist. And this person was, it is a very important neat question, ma. Alexander von Humboldt. This time in board they asked this question relating to this species area relationship. They asked one question in the 3 mark. This Alexander von Humboldt, he was a geographer and also German. He belonged to Germany, and he was a German person and German geographer and naturalist called as Alexander von Humboldt. He was doing some exploration in the he was doing some exploration. You know what do you mean by exploring, right? He was exploring the South American jungles. When he was exploring the jungles means forest, okay? When he was exploring the South American jungles, he observed this species area relationship. So what he observed is, he observed that the species richness, you know what do you mean by species richness? Yes, yesterday only we discussed about species richness and the species diversity. The number of species per unit area is called as species richness, okay? He observed that the number of species increased with increasing explored area. So what do you mean by this statement? As much we explore the area, you can determine more number of species. That is, if you explore more area, that is a big geographical area, then you can explore more number of species. Obviously it is correct, right? If you are exploring a small area, then you can determine only the number of species that is present in a small geographical area. When you explore a big geographical area, you can see more number of species surviving in a big geographical area. So as you explore more area, the more the species richness. That's it. Increasing explored area, it will increase the richness of the species, but it will not go on extending, but only up to a limit. There you have to have a limit, okay? That is, the explored area, no, if it goes on increasing, the species richness will also not increase beyond the limit. There is an increase in the species richness with increasing explored area, but it is having some deadline. It is only up to a limit. So this relationship between species richness and explored area is given as species area relationship. In this species area relationship, S represents species richness and A represents not simple area, it is explored area. Okay, as we explore more area, more species richness will be there, but up to a limit, it will not extend beyond the limit. And by comparing these two things, finally he draw one graph. One graph has been drawn. One side area, explored area. One side the species richness. Okay, one side species richness and other side is area. By plotting this graph, he got a graph like this. What is this curve? Can anybody tell me what is the name of this curve? Can anybody tell me what is the name of this curve that has been obtained? Exponential curve. No. No, not parabola. No, sigmoid. Is this sigmoid curve, ma? Yes, very good. Very good. Hats off to KNMS 12E Srinidhi. She has given the correct answer. It is rectangular hyperbola. I think you students are very poor in maths. Simply by graph, can't you determine what graph it is, what curve it is? It is rectangular hyperbola. And this graph can be described by an equation. That is, he gave one equation that is called as S is equal to C into A power Z. Okay. So S is equal to C into A power Z. You know what are these variables? S represents species richness. And C here, it represents y-intercept. Okay. And A is the area. That is the area explored. Okay. And what is Z? Z is the slope to the line. Z is the slope to the line. And the slope to the line, no, it can be called by a term regression coefficient. It is called as regression coefficient. So this Alexander von Humboldt, he analyzed the species richness with area. He compared these two parameters and finally he drew one graph and he got a curve that is called as rectangular hyperbola. And this can be explained, that is, it can be described using the equation called as S is equal to C into A power Z. Okay, fine. Now I will ask you one more question. Now if I am applying logarithm on both sides, okay, what will this graph represents? S is equal to C into A power Z. Now please listen. the same graph, same parameter area, and other side is s. Okay. Now I am applying logarithm on both sides. What will be the equation? Log s is equal to log c. When multiplication comes in logarithm, you have to put plus, and power can be written in the front. So is it log a? Shall I write the equation in this form, logarithmic form? If I am I'm putting in a logarithmic scale, now the relationship what I will get is a straight line. So for the straight line, you have to write log s is equal to log c plus z log a. When I am writing in this s is equal to c into a power z, I will get a rectangular hyperbola. Okay. And when I am expressing it in a logarithmic scale, I will get a straight line, which is described by the equation log s is equal to log c plus z log a. Okay, fine. So this ecologist, they have discovered that the value of z, no, this always lies in the, it lies in the range of, it lies in the range of 0.1 to 0.2. Okay, so this is common. This is not only for logarithmic scale. Generally, I'm saying the value of z lies in the range of 0.1 to 0.2, irrespective of the species, okay, or the region, geographical area, anything. And this means, what do you mean by this? The slope of the regression line is amazingly similar. It will be similar in all cases. But if one analyze the species area, suppose if you are analyzing the species area relationship in a very large area, suppose you are doing, suppose I am telling you, suppose you are doing a gamma diversity, that is in a global area, like for example, very large area means, for example, like I am taking a species area relationship for an entire continent. Okay, I am taking Asia and I am analyzing the species area relationship for the entire continent. Then in this case, the value of z, no, the slope of the line, the slope of the line is much deeper. The slope of the line is much steeper. Okay, then here the value of z, no, it will range between 0.6 to 1.2. When you are comparing normal area or small geographical area, the value of z lies in the range of 0.1 to 0.2. When you are analyzing the SCA relationship in a very large area, for example, an entire continent, there the value of z will increase from 0.6 to 1.2. It will range between 0.6 to 1.2. That's all. So the species area relationship is also over. Okay, we'll stop here. We'll continue tomorrow. I have to conclude some points based on latitudinal pattern and species area relationship. I'll give the conclusion tomorrow. Okay, you just finish it off these two things. I will show you the species area relationship slide 12, 13, 14. You just copy these three slides because the previous slides already you have copied, right? So this is the 12th one. Up to 11th one you have copied, ma. 12th one. This is 13th one. 11th one. Wait, I will show you. I'll show you. Wait. Regression coefficient means it is the slope to the line. It represents the slope to the line, ma. Based on the value of z, the entire value, that is the entire species richness will vary. Okay, so this z is based on the geographical area. So if it is a small or a normal geographical area, always the value will be between 0.1 to 0.2. When you are analyzing the species area relationship for a very large area like a continent or a entire some particular zone, then the value of z will range from 0.6 to 1.2. There the species richness, if z value increase, then the species richness value automatically increases. Okay, the species richness value, no, it depends upon the value of z, and this z depends upon the geographical area you are choosing. Okay, got it? 12th. So 11, 12, 13th, 14th. Okay, students, thank you so much. Fine, we'll meet on Monday. Read well and do your NEET exams and JEE exams well. Fine. Thank you. Take care, all of you. See you all on Monday. Bye bye.